everybody, and welcome to the newest episode of Technically Correct, where we dive deep into various lore in the Star Trek universe. And still got just a little less than 2 months away from new episodes of Lore Decks, which I'm really looking forward to their final season. Woohoo! Hopefully, hopefully they'll come back in movie form in some format. But until then, we're going to be talking about like old Star Trek episodes mostly in the Berman era, so Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, may get into Enterprise a little bit. We'll just have to see what happens in actually. Already got an episode or two idea there for the future, but I choke on my own words. How's it going for you, Katie?
Okay, I've had a busy day. I've had a stressful week, but I am alive. I got through it without violence or arrest. So
Thanks
I've
to the
been,
anti-homicidal juice.
yes, thanks to this glorious anti-homicide juice. People
Which
usually know it as coffee, or caffeine, but it is a glorious substance and it has kept me on the level. So, good morning to all.
for your side of the world, at least, it's like dinner time over here.
It's 1 a.m. here. It's early.
I do appreciate you being up for us for the show because this shows that Star Trek is worldwide, not just here in the States.
True.
But
And it's touched a lot of people. And I'm very thankful to be a part of the Trek community. I really am.
we all appreciate it. Darn it. God, hopefully I can get these allergies under control one of these days, so apologies in advance. But things the last couple weeks, and we're talking about it again, is like friendship and the bonding that certain characters really start to solidify in various Star Trek series. And so this episode, we're going to be talking about the Chute from Star Trek Voyager, where Tom and Harry were convicted and thrown into prison for a crime they didn't commit, and saying so on the
Yes.
Actarian justice system. But um, Zach,
I am so sorry. But when you started mentioning all like friendship and stuff, a memory from the other day just came back to me. Because I went to see a friend of mine. This is the technically, God, get my words out. The technically part of Technically Drag, but this will make you laugh. I went round to see a friend. She's going through some stuff. And when I was leaving, everything was all happy and things were calm. And she made up a bottle of milk for her youngest because she's got 3 kids.
should I bring Tyson in on this conversation at this point?
Yeah, can do. Good morning, Tyson, my darling.
Morning.
For God's sake.
Hello.
Hello, breasts. How are you?
I was going to shake him at the camera then, but I thought better of it. But,
And she unfortunately took the batteries out of her remote in hopes that nothing like this would happen. And sure enough, bam, right off the bat. Like, movies!
but for crying out loud. But no, just as I was leaving, my friend made up a bottle of milk for her youngest daughter, and for some reason she automatically passed it to me, and she just went, "Here, lass," and I took it off her, and I nearly took a drink of it. And then we both just looked at each other. Her partner, he was just stood looking at us, not knowing what to do.
Like Tyson's looking at us right now.
Me and Louise just burst out laughing, and then I just like slowly handed her the milk bottle back. I'm just like, what the hell just happened? And for like 10 minutes, we were broken. We nearly fell to the floor. And all 3 of her kids came running through, hearing my cackle. And they were just like, what's happening? And me and Louise couldn't talk. we were completely broken. I mean, you lot have heard me broken. You haven't. You should see me and Louise when we're together and we break each other. It is. We were crying because we were laughing so much, and
Worse than that time that you couldn't mute your microphone during one of the spaces about a year ago.
oh, it was kind of similar to that. It was kind of similar to that when I wasn't. Oh God, what space? What Twitter space was that? Was that one of Cass's?
No, I think it might have been one of my extra innings ones back in the day. Do,
I
do you
don't
remember,
know, but
Tyson?
I remember
Or it might have been one of Tyson's spaces.
it was during the time of the Twitter glitches, and I wasn't able to mute my microphone when I started cackling, so everything was held up for about like 5-10 minutes until I stopped being broken.
Yeah, because your laugh was causing other people to laugh, and it was just a round robin.
Yeah, it was kind of like that, but it was just because I'd actually been talking to Louise probably about like 30-40 minutes before about what we're currently doing on Technically Track. Because she's not really into Star Trek, but she don't mind listening, hearing about it. And I was saying that we was going down the route of like friendship in Technically Trek at the moment before new Trek comes out. And honestly, we had such a laugh. And then like my visit ended where she passed me her daughter's bottle of milk and I nearly took a sip of it. So yeah, sorry to get off track, but you just talking about friendship that just popped into my head, and I thought I had to share it because it is like that's kind of how mine and Louise's friendship is, just like completely ditzy, and I think my ditziness has rubbed off on her. To be quite honest,
I'm just imagining you taking a sip and going, what brand is this?
luckily it was just
perfectly for Phil to walk in. Hey, Phil.
I mean, luckily it was just regular milk, because her daughter's old enough now to have regular milk. But it was just the whole scene, and then there was just Brett stood there looking as if to say, "What have I just walked into? What the hell is going on?" And he went, "Why have you got Ellie's bottle?" And I went, I don't know. And Louise was just looking at me. Her shoulders were like shaking because she was trying to hold her laughing. And I just slowly passed her the bottle back and I went, I don't think that belongs to me. As soon as I said that, that's it, we were broken. It was just so funny.
It reminds me of a Benny Hill skit. You probably have seen this one, right? Where the waitress walks up to Benny Hill and the old guy, he's wearing a wig. And she goes, tea or coffee? And they say, tea. So she pulls a tea bag out of her cleavage and puts it in the hot water. And she says, sugar? And they say, yes. She pulls out some sugar cubes and puts it in their tea. And she says, milk? And they say, no.
I remember that.
That's one of my favorite Benny Hill skits. I love it.
Oh dear.
You can look up the clip on YouTube. It's called Tea or Coffee. It's hilarious.
I think I've seen that before. It's been a hot minute, but I've seen it before. But Phil, thanks for joining us tonight. How's it going with you?
Nice to be back. Thank you.
Yes, welcome, and for walking into that very strange story about milk.
Yeah, we went technically right off the bat today.
Okay.
Yes.
But and kind of it's got to be mentioned. Just like a brief, I just want to say like a brief moment of silence. We've lost 2 Star Trek Deep Space Nine actors over the weekend. On Saturday, Obi Nadefo, I hope I'm saying his name right. He played that I forget the Klingon's name that he played in A Way of the Warrior. Just like, well, you're wearing that uniform. We're allies. That guy is
Yes.
saying, but I think he's played a couple other characters in Star Trek, but that's the one that sticks in my mind. He also played Jaffa in Stargate SG-1 as well, a few episodes there. He
Yeah,
passed away.
it was quite close friends with Teal'c.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him mainly from SG-1, and I mean, he was wasn't he only 51?
I can't remember
Yeah,
offhand,
I
but
think he was only 51 when he passed.
he was 51. Yeah, he was only 51 years old. But then James Aaron, Vic Von Kane passed away over the weekend as well. So just like
Who?
Oh, Vic Von Kane. He was in T.J. Hooker. That's where I first saw him.
And he was in Gidget way back in the day, like one of those 50s teeny bopper movies.
I saw that actually. Yeah, I saw that.
I just remember that he was Heather Locklear's partner on T.J. Hooker. I'm trying to think of his name. What is his name? The one who played Vic Fontaine?
James Darren.
James Darren. That's right. And he was Heather
Part of the
Locklear's
Rat Pack.
He was Heather Locklear's partner on T.J. Hooker. And I love T.J. Hooker. I used to watch that. I know, Katie, you've never seen that, have you? Or do you know what that is? You'd hate it. It's a William Shatner show.
William Shatner's cop show.
Oh, I think I've heard you talk about it, but you know, it's William Shatner, so no.
Yeah, you haven't watched it.
I mean, he goes from Captain Kirk to Sergeant Hooker, but it's the same. And his initials are TJ, Thomas Jefferson Hooker, TJ Hooker, TJ, James T. That was a huge joke back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And Leonard Nimoy directed an episode and was actually in an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was James Darren that said he's dead, Jim, in that episode of T.J. Hooker. You have to go back and look at that. It's hilarious.
Geez.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
it's William Shatner as William Shatner in William Shatner series. Yeah.
He's so up himself.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's totally wearing a Wookiee on his head. It's hilarious. You know. Anyway, but to get away from the other franchises references.
Just a brief moment. So yeah, just a quick brief moment of silence for their loss. So yeah, DS9 I think has lost the most of any of the Trek series. But yeah. Okay, moving on. And saying Zach kind of brought up something. I don't know if you saw it. I'll flash up here again for you, Katie. But saying that the episode we're talking about, the Chute, foreshadowed what's going on over your neck of the woods right now, with the lawlessness and the craziness that's going on.
And what would that be?
Say maybe he can elaborate. So you can always pop on the chat too, Zach. I know you're volunteered to be backup if Katie wasn't able to make it today. So I mean, we still got 6 slots available.
What's going on in Zach's neck of the woods? Is that what you said?
No, he was saying that the Chute foreshadowed the UK right now, is what he said.
Oh, what's going on in the UK?
I don't know. I don't follow the news. I don't. I mean, in all honesty, I probably know more about what's going on in America than I do in the UK.
Zach, Brexit was in 2018. Get over it. That was like 6 years ago.
Don't even get me freaking started on that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know there was all the riots that were going on in different cities.
Yeah.
And all kind of calmed down.
The riots.
But it's just kind of funny that it's happened at the same time as, yesterday was the end of the Bell riots based on the Star Trek timeline. So, but that in of itself actually foreshadowed not everything that's been going on in the United States, but it's eerily close. So yeah.
Well, all the Bell riots from DS9 and that, you know, I mean, there has been a lot of rioting in the UK. I don't know if you know why. But basically, apparently he was only 17. Don't quote me on that. But a young man decided that he was going to go into, it was some form of like Taylor Swift performing arts center or something. She's
Oh,
like the
yeah.
patron of it. And he decided to go on a stabbing spree. He attacked a load of people and killed 2 little girls. They were, I think, 9 and 11 or something like that. Forgive me if I am wrong.
Kids.
But that is why the rioting started. And I took a step back and I put my Vulcan hat on rather than my Klingon one, as I always say to Louise. And I'm just like, okay, we're all upset that 2 little girls have been killed. They were more than innocent. However, rioting and tearing up your own cities are not the right way to go about it. Even the girls' families came forward and were just like, look, we're trying to grieve. And you're tearing up the cities, supposedly in the name of justice, but this has gone beyond that now. And the little girls, their deaths were forgotten because the rioting was just taking over and it spread from city to city. I mean, my hometown was closed off twice because of rioting. Now,
what is the riot? But what are the rioters? What is their message? What is they're trying to get? So, for example, George Floyd was a black man killed by a police officer. Lots of riots here in the U.S., and it was because black people tend to be treated differently by law enforcement. So the riot was a protest against that. So so this guy came in and stabbed girls. What are the riots about? Did they kill the guy? Is that what they're rioting about? Or was he not killed and they're rioting because he wasn't? Or like what's the riot about?
Basically, this guy was taken down by the police and taken into custody. And the riot supposedly started because these people wanted justice for the girls. Now, justice is going to happen anyway, you know.
Right. He was taken into custody, right?
Well, yeah, and there's no way that he can get out of it because of the witnesses. I mean, basically, he had a psychotic break. Nobody knows why he did, how he did, why he chose to go to that place at that time. What, you know, as far as I'm aware, that information hasn't been released.
So it was kind of like a lynching mob, basically, is what you're saying.
Basically, yeah. But then people just started rioting for basically fuck all.
Yeah, it's a right to riot just because
I had thought
nothing else better to do.
I had thought it was more to do with because people were upset at the amount of immigration coming into the country.
Oh, no.
Oh.
That was a secondary thing.
Oh, all right.
2 people, there was this one person was spreading lies on social media saying that this young man was an immigrant and this is the result of immigration.
Okay.
Where he wasn't. What the hell is happening with my camera?
To fuel the fires. Right.
Where he isn't, and he isn't an immigrant. He was born in the UK.
Mm.
He has a UK birth certificate. You know, he was born in the UK. Yes, his family may have been immigrants, like down the line, his parents, grandparents, or whatever. But he was born in the UK. He's a UK citizen. And the guy that was spreading these lies around social media was arrested for it because he was spreading these lies to incite violence. Okay. And I mean, I am all for free speech, but one thing that I cannot stand above anything else, and the DT family know this, is lies.
It's like shouting fire in a theater. I mean, there's freedom of speech, but if you incite a riot that hurts people, that's where your freedom ends. And, you know.
Yes. And
I agree.
basically, he was spreading these lies to basically egg people on. And he was arrested, and as far as I'm aware, all his social media posts relating to that have been removed. And then there was this woman. She was basically supporting what he was saying, and she was inciting more violence, and she was arrested as well. But a lot of people were up in arms about them being arrested, and people decided that they were going to carry on rioting because freedom of speech was breached, and all this lot, where it wasn't the fact that it was freedom of speech that was being tamped down. It was purely lies that they were spreading to incite violence, and that's why they were arrested for their social media activity.
JD, what a perfect segue into the show, which opens with a
Exactly.
huge riot, and
Harry.
Harry Wang getting his face beat.
Oh no, that
Yeah,
pretty.
and that he sees Tom, as he smiles, he's like, oh yeah, friendly face, and then he gets a gut punch from Paris. It's
Boom.
like, cue opening
Yeah,
credits.
Yeah, I was.
yeah. I
How was it?
have a lot of issues with this episode.
Again, I said this last week and I said it for this one too. I feel like I came into it and it's like there's a situation already underway, and I thought, is this part 2 of something? Is there something that happened last week that set this one up? Or are we just jumping into this as is? I'm like, I feel like I missed a huge chunk of the first part of the story or something. But
Yeah, later in the episode, they kind of like roll back saying, hey, Tom and Harry went on this away mission. We haven't seen from them. We
they
heard of
explain it
Tommy, and
later.
say,
Yeah,
where are they at?
You know, that's become a thing in the last 30 years where, they start a story in the middle and then they hop all around, to the end, to the front, back to the middle, to the, and it's, I guess I'm old fashioned. I like a story to be linear. I don't know. It's writing plot. That's the way they like to do it.
But it might be because they're only 45 minutes episodes and they really want to get to kind of the meat of what it's actually about. So we just need to really just get right into the beginning of it, what's going on, and we can kind of give a quick little explanation of how they got into there later. But let's just get these two characters together, get into the situation, and boom.
Yeah, they want to bait the hook. They want to bait the hook, and then like, oh my God, what's that? Now you have to watch to figure out why they're there. So I mean, I get it. It's a clever writing thing. And, UPN. That's a whole other episode.
Yeah, UPN at its finest. But yeah, it took us a while to finally understand exactly what the heck was going on, and say we get to see Daddy Kirk has a part in this episode.
Yes, the real Chris Pine's dad. What's his name? Robert Pine?
Robert. Mm-hmm.
Robert Pine. Yeah, he is the administrator that Voyager contacts when they're first inquiring about their missing crew people. That's Robert Pine, who I know. I think I got this straight. I think I know him from Chips. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, he was the chief or whatever.
Yes. Which is interesting because I'm a California resident, so the CHP here, is what that TV show is all about. It's California Highway Patrol, Chips.
Yep.
Katie's like, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
It was a really popular 70s.
I have, but I don't know what it's about. I'm just like, woo.
Eric Estrada and what was
Larry
that guy's
Wilcox.
Larry Wilcox played motorcycle highway patrolman. And so it was all about them on their Harley Davidson, police motorcycles, and it was a 1 hour police adventure. Like any
for
other.
a long time too. I used to watch it when I was a kid.
Me too. Saying,
yeah.
My friend Chris, God rest his soul, say he and I would often play Punch, and what was Wilcox? John, Punch and John. And see, I was done with
Poncherello, yeah, and John.
it.
And it
Yeah,
had that techno opening. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
yeah. See, I was the white boy, and Chris being Native American, he looked Hispanic. So I mean, he was Punch, I was John.
Right.
I even made little badges with scrap paper that we put in our pockets.
Oh, well, who didn't play cops, when you were a kid? I mean, I
Yeah.
think that was a kid thing to do. I was the only cop with a phaser because my mom didn't want me to have toy guns. But I had a phaser.
And poor Katie,
Well, my
she's
mom
just
and dad
like,
were both
okay, okay.
sheriffs, so they, And then my mom became a 911 dispatcher, and so when your mother is a 911 dispatcher and all she hears all day, every day is, kid run over on a skateboard, kids playing with guns got shot, yada yada, you tend to have an overprotective mother.
Mhm.
That's just the thing.
I get that.
But anyway, back to the episode.
Yeah, there is an issue, like a really huge issue that I have with this episode, but I just want you to remember that, and I'll discuss it later on, but just so that you know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's more the result that doesn't happen from the episode. After everything, now I'm taking Tom out of this equation because he's just him, But in regards to Harry, after everything he went through, everything he survived, you'd think that it had toughened him up. I mean, yeah, fair enough. It'd have gone through trauma, but you would have thought that in the long run, it had toughened him up, and it never freaking did. He never toughened up at all. There was times where he would seem like it was like, yes, finally he's toughening up, he's getting a backbone, he's shedding that prim and proper Starfleet Academy, shell, and he's coming into his own, but then it falls away. And this is the main issue that I have with this episode. It's not the episode itself, but I am so proud of Harry for how he handled himself in there. Fair enough, yeah, he went a bit woo, but that's to be expected, especially because of the clamp. But
Yeah, he was definitely a roller coaster through that episode where he kind of like got the snot beat out of him. Then
he
towards
did
the end of the
handle
episode,
in the whole scheme of things. He did handle it so well, and he handled himself in such a way, even through the insanity that the clamp was causing. He managed to keep Tom safe. He managed to keep him alive. Nobody, I think, would have ever expected that from Harry until this episode. But it's very rare that Harry shows that side of him again, what he's actually capable of. And it kind of disappoints me that he didn't toughen up more from this experience, knowing basically knowing that he has that wild protective primal instinct there. It's almost like it was forgotten about. It's almost like the writers forgot about it. And that is my main issue with this episode. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but that's how I feel about this episode. It's not the episode itself, because it is heartbreaking but brilliant. It's the after effects of it that don't happen.
In future episodes, you mean?
Yeah,
in the rest of the series, right?
Well, yeah,
yeah,
because
that's essentially
it could have gone down like the same route, but a little bit different, And I mean, don't get me wrong, I feel for Harry in a way, because he has gone through so much he was fresh out of the academy, top of his class, all prim and proper, only child, parents overprotective, especially his mother, and then he was just thrown into the Delta Quadrant fresh out of the academy. And you would have thought that he'd have learned, but he didn't really, and he always had that childlike quality about him that never seemed to change. And I mean, I do feel for, I mean, he never got that promotion, I mean, but also he went through so much. I mean, he was the, him and Balana were kidnapped by the caretaker. They got infected with the disease, and then I can't remember what happened like in between, but then he got thrown down the chute, and he was eaten alive by species 8472. He became chemically bound to an alien woman, and
technically he died. So this Harry
yeah,
is a quantum duplicate of the Harry that we knew too. So
yeah. So he died. He got sent to another like
chemistry
dimension kind of thing. And that was in, is it Emanations?
Mhm.
Yes, go me. Sorry. But yeah, so he has been through a hell of a lot. And
Oh,
but
and he had his DNA altered to hitch up with that planet of women.
yeah, he had his DNA altered, and he also, I mean, all right, fair enough, it was corrected, but the episode, oh, what's it called? My memory's gone now. Where everybody on Voyager but him and Chute died, and he had to,
No, timeless.
yeah, Timeless. That's the one. Yes, I knew it was Time something. But
Took me a hot second. Everybody died, but Cody and Kim's like, what? Oh yeah.
yeah, and then he had to sit there, like in the present after Voyager was saved. He had to sit there and watch a message from himself in an alternate future, knowing that he made a mistake and got everybody on Voyager killed. So he has been through a hell of a lot, and he's still never fucking toughened up, and that's what like really does my head in about Harry's character, is that he goes through all this, and he could have overcome a hell of a lot, but he didn't. And in a way, it was good that he kept that softness about him, but I like him in this episode because it shows a very different side to him. It shows that he does have a very strong survival instinct. He does have that primal protective urge. He can hold his own when it's needed, and it disappoints me that ain't really seen again. But I like Shoot Harry, I like falsely imprisoned Harry, going crazy Harry, it it shows a good side to him.
It's remorseful Harry as well. At the end of the episode, where it made Tom's like all chipper saying, "Hey, let's go have that food," and Harry's
Yeah.
like, "Dude, I tried to kill you." And it's like, but like Tom just being Tom, just like what I remember is saying, "This is my friend. No one touches him. This is my best friend."
Well, yeah, and even though Harry did try and kill him, Tom completely understood. I mean, Tom himself, he was going proper cuckoo in there. He like memory issues and paranoia, and he didn't blame Harry for that.
And it did present a
Could I interrupt
180.
for just a moment?
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just a friend of mine just randomly just showed up at my place, and he's downstairs at my door. Do you mind if I decoat for a little bit? I don't know if I should leave this on. I'm just gonna be like 10 minutes, 20 minutes with him at the most.
Yeah, you can like mute your mic, turn your camera off, and then but you can
Just-
still have a spot there. So
Okay, I'll do that, and I'll leave it open then.
Okay,
okie
no worries,
dokie.
Sorry
darling.
about that. Carry on.
Say hi to your
So-
friend for me.
There was that 180 because we open with, Harry getting the crap beat out of him, and he finally sees who he thinks is, his friend and shipmate, and the first thing he does is gut punch him and says, "This one's mine."
Yeah.
And so by the end of the episode, we're the other way around, where Harry's the one now ready to kill Tom, right?
Yeah.
And so you see as one gets calmer, the other one gets more agitated. So they start during the episode to switch those personalities.
Yeah.
It was an interesting switch.
Oh,
And my favorite line was, "I'm so hungry I could eat, Neelix's
and his
Yola.
Leola root stew.
Yeah.
I could eat that."
Say that's one of the quotes that I wrote down. Just like that's proper. He's like you're crazy if you're thinking about eating that.
Let me translate that to English. I could eat Neelix's bowl of shit.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. I tried to do something different with the lighting. I don't know if you can see me any better. I've got a ring light. My studio lights up. I don't know if it helps. I just feel like
it's a little different, but it's okay. It works.
You
I
look
just don't
gorgeous,
feel-
darling.
I'm still playing with all the lights in my room, trying to get it figured
Yeah.
out. Katie, she was helping me figure out my Christmas lights in the background. So I got 8 different settings for them, but right now I'm just keeping them solid.
I'm lit for being a different direction normally, and so it just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe it's the light behind me. It just doesn't. I don't know. I'm still working on it. I mean, I have
Yeah,
it
see,
down in that way.
Saying I'm the one with the TV production background, so I should know better on proper lighting and whatnot.
I really couldn't give a crap about my lighting. I really couldn't.
Evil Tyson.
No, you see,
Blair Witch Tyson.
I've got a lamp on the top of my wardrobe, like slightly angled up, and I've got my spirit tree lamp. Other than that, other than like my TV, there's no other lighting. Well, unless you count my mouse.
Look at these pores.
There's no other light in my bedroom, but my bedroom is actually a lot dimmer than what my camera shows.
It might be a camera setting on my, because see, my face, like the room looks lit, and then my face looks dark. Even though I've got a ring light
camera
behind
settings, you can actually adjust the color and the light and the dark. That's what I've had to do with mine, because it's just like with the regular settings, it is too dark in my room for decent camera light. So I always adjust the light settings on my camera, as soon as I get one. I need to get another one. But no, speaking of light though,
fancy new apartment.
It was a very dark episode, this.
Yeah, actually, with your lighting, Tyson, at least as you don't move, there's not that weird little aura thing going around you.
Yeah, I got a fancy new apartment. Check this out. A little bit of blur right here. Oh, look at this. See if I can wipe it with my hand. Ooh.
The whole of it is a malfunctioning, darling.
Look at that. Twilight Zone. Oh, I wonder if I turn off that light, that'll probably get rid of it. Hang on. See if that made a difference. Oh, hello. Fixed.
Yeah, there we go.
I just prefer your natural background, to be honest, darling.
Oh, my messy bedroom background? Okay,
yeah.
I can still do that one.
It's homely.
Virtual background off. There. That's no. It's messy bedroom.
It's your home. It's cozy. It's you. You know. I don't give a crap that people know I'm in bed. I really don't.
Hey, it works. You just need some color behind you.
Yeah, I need to get my pride flags on the wall. I've been meaning to do that for so long, but I also don't want to put them on the wall because now that I've taken my headboard off, I don't want to drag on them and rip them. So I need to. But no, I like the fact that there's no colour behind me. But I know that I need to do something. I just don't know what.
I'm looking around my room and I'm realizing, wow, this is a dirty,
Eh,
packed room. Like I have my whole house in one room. Ugh.
Basically,
see, I
so
got
do I. I mean, I mean, honestly, like the top of my wardrobe is just full of like about 70 teddies. And I've got teddies around my room. My furniture is quite big for this room, but the amount of stuff I've got in it, you won't believe. To look at it as it is now, you won't believe I've got half the stuff in it that I have.
see, I don't want to go too off topic with all like the crazy stuff I got up behind me and whatnot.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I say I got my lower decks box I got from Paramount. God, it's almost been a year since I got that already. So it's like good grief, time flies.
But no,
Then
going back to the
then of course I got my poop emoji hat up there.
yes, I like.
Oh my God, that's a hat.
Yes.
So it's actually going to be a shithead.
Yep.
Like that's the.
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, I took a picture, put on Twitter years ago to say, "Hey, I'm a shithead."
I like
Very
that.
nice. Very nice. Very clever.
Yeah.
So,
Back to the
the
episode.
yeah, the Chute, food comes down, prisoners come down, nobody goes up.
Not without getting them being zapped to death.
Right.
I
What
there's
you
a
thinking,
lot.
Katie?
There's a lot I could say about the politics in all of this.
The politics. I thought we were going a whole nother direction. My brain was going straight into the gutter, and I was thinking the Chute is something else.
Tyson, get your mind out of the gutter, my
Another
sweet.
type of orifice that's like exit only. But okay, I like where you're going with this politics. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for Tyson. That's why he's only still a lieutenant and he's not getting that promotion anytime soon.
Well, he's a real lieutenant, though. I'm a faux admiral. You're a faux captain, so he's a real lieutenant.
Oh no, I'm an auxiliarist, so technically I'm past flotilla commander, which is I have no real. It's just the equivalent of that would be lieutenant, but I'm not a real. Like, I'm not a commissioned officer.
Yes, and you won't be getting that promotion if you carry on, my sweet.
No, I do get saluted though because I do wear the stripes, but whole nother story.
But
anyway,
the politics of this episode, I can say a hell of a lot about. In a way, I understand I can't remember the alien race. I really can't.
Bacterium, yeah.
Yeah, those. In a way, I can understand the prison system. However, I don't understand how, even if somebody is proven innocent, that they are staying in prison, especially a prison like that. Now, for extremely violent, psychotic mass murderers with no hope of rehabilitation, have at it, you know. But but by the sounds of it, now I could be reading into this wrong. I don't think I am, but by the sounds of it, any crime that somebody is convicted for, they get thrown down the chute. Any crime. And
you don't want to jaywalk there.
Exactly. You know, I mean, I did a hell of a lot of that today. Not that it's a thing over here, but
even Lyria said that their justice system is a great deterrent. So
maybe so, but I still don't understand. Well, I understand it perfectly well. That's not the right phrase.
Sorry.
The fact that they will put a thief in with a psychotic mass murderer and give them the same punishment, that's wrong. And I don't agree with that. I don't understand how they could come up with that. I feel the same about that Next Gen episode. You know, where they went to, was it Angel 1 and Wesley nearly got killed for walking on the ground?
I was just thinking of that episode, exactly.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about that episode.
Angel 1, that was
in a way of them. And
Justice was the name of that episode. Angel 1 was the Riker wearing that skimpy little thing that the girls were laughing
my apologies. But, you know, it kind of takes me back to that. And, all right, fair enough. One punishment to fit every crime could possibly be a deterrent. However, when you have a prison system like that, where there are no guards, there is no order, putting a thief, someone who's maybe stolen a loaf of bread to feed their family, in with a psychotic mass murderer, and you basically leave them to fend for themselves. And on top of that, a device that makes you go crazy is attached to your skull. You know, that's not punishment. That is torture. You know, that is... I don't see that as punishment. Now, all right, fair enough for like pedophiles, rapists, you know, mass murderers and that. Have at it, do what the fuck you like with them, chop off their balls with a rusty butter knife for all I care. You know, sorry. But that same one punishment for every crime, the fact that once they're in there, even if they're proven innocent, they can't get out. That is injustice. That's not justice. That's not punishment. That is torture. That is injustice, because, you know, you get thrown in there for stealing a loaf of bread, or you've been convicted for stealing a loaf of bread, and it turns out it was that guy's brother.
Right.
You know, and he can't get out of that. That is just a whole world of wrong. You know.
In real life, I do not, and this is just my own opinion, I do not believe in the death penalty for anybody, any reason, any crime at all, ever. Including, and this, you know, this is why people, you know, gang up on me, including the rapists, the murderers, even, you know, the Hitlers and the Kim Jong-uns. Like, I do not believe in the death penalty. I just don't. Anytime you take another life, it's not, in my brain, it's not punishment. It's not punishment. It's not something you recover from or learn from, or, you know, it's revenge. It's, you know, you killed this person, now we're going to kill you in revenge. Punishment, there is no redemption. There's nothing attached to it. That's why it's not punishment. It is just, it's revenge. Now, some people say it's a deterrent, but we still have rapists, we still have murderers, we still have, you know, it's not deterring anybody. And I don't think anybody would say, well, I I was going to kill this person, but now that I know I'll just spend my life in prison, I'll go ahead and do it. If I thought I was going to be executed, I wouldn't. Nobody thinks that way. If you're going to kill somebody, you're going to kill somebody. You don't think ahead of, whether, am I going to spend life in prison or am I going to get the death penalty? It's just not a deterrent. It's never been proven to be a deterrent. And it's not punishment. I'm sorry, it's just not punishment. I think people like that need to be locked up forever, for sure. And in the rarest of cases, we've even had examples where somebody was executed and then later the DNA proved they were innocent. Now what do? You can't bring them back to life and say, oops. So much wrong with the death penalty. I just not a supporter of the death penalty. My mom once asked me, my mom was a huge supporter of the death penalty, right? She felt certain crimes deserved it. And, we argued back and forth. She said, what if somebody murdered me? You'd just be okay with that? I said, of course I wouldn't be okay with that.
Kitty!
I've been wondering when
of course I wouldn't be okay with that. But I wouldn't, murder is not a punishment. It just is. It's state-sanctioned murder. Look at that.
Yeah, her camera's just being proper wonky tonight.
It really is. I need a new one. I desperately need a new one. I'm so sorry.
The one that I'm on right now, which I think it was $10 maybe. So £7, super cheap. And
I
the cheap
paid
ones
about
work.
35 or 40 quid for this, and it's got a remote. I've tried taking the batteries out to see if there's any remote interference. They don't. They've only had the company has only ever heard of this problem because of interference from the remote.
There must be some other remote somewhere nearby that's causing the random.
But I've had the same problem as Katie. I bought a $100 camera, which equal to about 70 quid, 70 pounds. A $100 camera, put it up there, and it gave me nothing but problems. And this one is a $30 camera, and I don't even think that camera is as good as this one. Remember when I was digital, in the first couple of episodes where I started off digital and then it got clear? This camera has never done that. This camera, I think I'm clearer than I am on any other camera, and this is the cheapest piece of shit I could possibly get.
The thing is, though, I need the one thing that I need on the webcam, because the camera is at the end of my bed, I need the zoom function on it, and that's what hikes the price up for me. Because, don't get me wrong, like private chats and things like that, and in the talky thing is on Discord, I don't mind people seeing half of my bedroom, but on a live show like this and DT, I don't want half of my private space. Well,
it's not just that, but you don't want to be this big on the camera either.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong. I don't want the, as Cassie calls it, the squirrel camera. When it zooms right in. But the one that I had before this, it had a little app that I had on my taskbar, and I could adjust the settings on it with that, and then all of a sudden, the app wouldn't work. And
I'm probably going to be dropping at 6. I have to prepare for a net that I'm going to be net control for, so I'm gonna have to drop at 6. But hopefully Phil will be back in time for me to roll off, so that you'll still have a triad on here. The Trek triad. How's that?
Trek triad.
The
technically Trek triad. Blah, 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 blah.
I'm a hominid with a hominid. Wait. I'm a hominid with a homonym. Hominid? Don't get me started. That's hard.
Yeah. But since it was mentioned, and I kind of wrote a little note on to say, I got to plug Dangerous Thoughts Sundays at 6 at dangerousthoughts.show. And I say that if it wasn't for that show, this show wouldn't exist. So it's hosted by Tyson over there, as well as Manu Indireme, which played Ichi on Star Trek Voyager.
And we love him so
among other great roles that he's been in. Like there's Do Justice, there's his Why am I blanking all of a sudden? Star Crew.
I mean, yeah, I mean to tell him, and I thought I had, but I don't remember if I did or not. They deleted his Wikipedia page
Completely?
completely. It's gone. And you can even look at the delete files, and there's a whole argument for why they deleted him. And obviously some haters wrote into Wikipedia, and they got it removed. Try searching him on Wikipedia. He doesn't exist anymore. Not on Wikipedia. That pissed me off. Something, they said he wasn't famous enough, and a couple of shows on Voyager and a couple episodes of One Tree Hill does not make him culturally significant enough to deserve a Wikipedia page. I was like, what? When you have the little blue mark on Twitter before, when it was really Twitter, and that was because you were somebody of note. I mean, he had the blue Twitter hash when you had to be a famous person to get one of those and whatever, but they took him straight off Wikipedia.
Huh. He's on the German one still.
Well,
there's not a lot on there, but I mean, he's got one on. There's
He's
not
on the
is it in
Spanish
English?
one as well.
Is it English? I don't read Spanish or German.
Well, Google can translate it, but it's not an old. He looks like the image on the German website looks like he's a
Where's the?
not
How
just
do
a
I get to
photo
the
for
German
Twilight.
one? How do you get to German?
I just looked up Manu Intereme Wikipedia, then it pulled up the German one as the first result.
Yeah. And there's a Spanish one as well, and I only know that because it's Avril, not April, which is Spanish for April.
I wonder if he even knows that. So I'll have to talk to Cassie downstairs later about that.
Marla spent so long on that Wikipedia page, bless her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not on any American.
No.
Huh.
That is just absolute bullshit. I'm sorry. I am fuming about that.
I agree. I agree. And I discovered it a couple of weeks ago. Because, I mean, he had all his credits, and then they all disappeared, and it was just all about his controversy. That was all that was there. And then they started going on Dangerous Thoughts, and they said now he's promoting, he's promoting conspiracy theories, and Wikipedia allows you to make edits. So I made an edit saying, no, it's a live show with this and that. And then somebody else rewrote my edit, and then the whole page got deleted. I'm like, these motherfuckers just really, excuse the language, they really want Manu erased. It's some serious shit.
Yeah, we need to have a private discussion about that. The DT family need to have a private discussion about that, because I have theories.
Yeah, that it's just wrong on all levels. Anyway, I have to drop. Phil, you came back in just the right amount of time. I got a radio net to host, so you guys have a great day.
Talk to you later, Tyson.
Oh, he's gone. All right.
Bye. Yeah. He does. He's a ham radio operator, and he's net controller tonight. So.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah. So he had to split.
Oh, okay.
You two catch up and talk about the episode. I really just need to nip away just for 2 minutes.
That's it. But
everybody's in and out tonight.
Well, no, it's like no. Katie just has to pop away for a second.
Okay.
God, here I'm using like British vernacular nowadays. So it's just got to pop away for a moment.
Okay.
But looking at some of my notes.
Did I miss anything? Like, did you talk about anything that?
Well, we talked a little bit about the episode, but then we found out that Manu. I was plugging the main DT show on Sunday nights, and then that's when I discovered that Manu's Wikipedia, at least the American English version, has been completely erased off their database altogether.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah, same. But like other languages, like German and Spanish, it's still live, but the English version is there's just somebody out to get them. We have our theories on who, but we don't have definitive proof. Otherwise,
Right. Yeah.
this wouldn't have happened. So
Hmm. I apologize for jumping out quickly to mention. I have a very good friend of mine that I've known for a good 40 years at least.
Mm.
He went up to Montreal to buy a new car because the one he wanted was in Montreal, and that's about a 6-hour drive away from where I am. He lives in London, Ontario. It's another 2 hours, hour and a half south of me. So he drove like about 7.5 hours up to Montreal to get this Mercedes-Benz convertible.
Mm.
That, yeah, he's got a bit of money, right? So
Midlife crisis.
yeah, this is, well, he's already driving a BMW convertible. Now he's trading it in. So he wanted to, I didn't think he was going to stop through this way. He invited me to go up with him, but I had too much going on this week. I told him I'd really like to, because I like going for road trips and that kind of thing, right? I said I couldn't do it. And plus my eye, I've been having some issues with this, and I'm seeing my doctor, and it's just too much going on. I says it was next week maybe, but this week I can't. So he says, all right. So I figured he was just going to drive up, do the thing, stay one night, and then drive back. But he messaged me all of a sudden, and he knows I have live streams on Wednesday. But no, he messaged me, and he's like right outside the building. I'm like, oh God, he wants to show me the car. So I'm like,
Oh, you're jumping all over the place, Katie.
You can't.
And you're muted. Mute.
No, I'm unmuted. What the hell is going on with my bloody camera? Honestly,
Guess what kind you have?
No, but I was going to say your sty doesn't look as bad as it did last week, so it is healing.
It is better. It is. It kind of broke and drained a bit, and I went to see my doctor, and it is starting to get better finally. Yeah, it's now more of a blister than anything. So it's just
those. I've had heat blisters at the tips of my fingers. They're not fun at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure like it's like even worse.
It'll clear up. I've got to pick up some polysporin for it in the next couple of days, so I'm going to start using it. So yeah.
I'm sending you much healing, darling.
Oh, thank you.
It's my specialty. It's good to have. It's good to have witches in the DT family.
True. I'm all for that.
Oh yes. But no, I do apologize. I've just realised I haven't got my glasses on. Where am I?
Where did you put your glasses? There they are.
There they are. I don't know where my usual pair are. I put these on because I went to an event, but I don't know where my regular glasses are. These are my going out glasses.
Yeah, these are my only glasses that I have. I should probably try and maybe do one of those 2-pair deals at an optometrist, but gotta have money to do that.
There they are. Yeah, that's what I do. I have 2 pairs.
Oh, all right.
Don't look that different.
I'm going to stay centered here.
Oh no, these are purple. These are blue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see little subtle differences, but yeah, I got the transition, so these double as sunglasses when I go outside. They go pitch black.
I've got a pair of transitions lenses, but they didn't put the anti-glare on them. And yeah, once you've had anti-glare on your lenses, it's hard to go back.
Unfortunately, I have not reached the point I need glasses yet, but I know that time's coming.
I've had them pretty much all. I've had them all my adult life, all the way back to the 4th grade. So I've had them for quite a while.
Yeah.
But going back to the episode, saying, I mean, even early on, Tom was already exhibiting signs of the clamp. Harry, I mean, he kept on having moments of clarity, then judgment gets clouded a little bit. When he stumbles in upon Tom taking apart the gadget, I mean, that was his breaking point, but I mean, he knew when to stop. I mean, he's about ready to do it, and Zaya was just egging him on to do it, and he's like, "No, I can't. He's my best friend." It's like, your
Yeah.
best friend is gone. You need to get rid of the dead weight if you want to survive here. So I mean, where Zio, he had some great points. I mean, he is so far gone, he didn't even realize it, but he has
True.
kind of like with me and my alcoholism, is that it's still there, but you know how to control it. He knows how to control the clamp. He doesn't let the clamp control him.
Yeah. It must be difficult though, because
That was a little frustrating point in the story for me. And I get it that the clamp is starting to affect his brain, but when he gave him the notes to say, "Here, this is going to help you control this thing," and he was like, "Ah," and he throws them in the air, and I was like, "Really?" Like, it's got to be because he's starting to lose
honestly,
it. But
I'd have done the same.
yeah,
And that's without the clamp. I'd have done it the same, because he may have been cataloging for 6 years on what the clamp does, but because the clamp is affecting him as well, even though he is under more control than the rest of them seem to be, his word still cannot be trusted. And also, just because something worked for him doesn't mean to say it's going to work for anybody else. You know, so I would have done the same, to be honest, and I'd have just been like, for fuck's sake, I don't want that. Help me or not.
yeah.
You know. I completely agree with Harry doing that. But it was very unlike Harry to do that, and that is one thing that I like about this episode with in regards to Harry. Is he is doing things out of character, and it's showing the effects of the clamp. But I mean, I completely understand what it's like to have something inside of you that you struggle to control. I'm not going to go into that, but
okay.
You know, privately, the DT family kind of know. But I do understand that. And trying to control something that is under your skin, like how Harry describes it, it feels like he's got fire ants crawling in his brain. I get that analogy. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go into it, but that's in regards to my mental health. And that's so I kind of, this episode resonates with me in that sense, because Harry is very over emotional. He's very emotionally sensitive. Going through something like this, a lot of people would have thought it would break him, but it didn't.
It got close. I mean, and Harry recognized that.
Well, yeah, I mean, to some degree, the crazy dude with all the notes, you know, he, to some degree, he did help. But what helped Harry more was the fact that he knew he had to keep Tom alive. And I genuinely do believe that that is the only reason why Harry survived. Because he had more, he didn't concentrate on his own survival. It was all about Tom. It was all about his best friend. And that helped center him event. Even though he wobbled, you know, he wobbled majorly, you know, he nearly killed Tom. But that still centered him. And it helped bring some form of order to the chaos, to you know, turn a phrase. But yeah, I was very proud of Harry for how he handled that, because having something inside of you that feels like your brain is crawling with fire ants, that's trying to push out in any way, shape, or form it can. It's very difficult.
It was funny when I was watching this and he was describing that. I was thinking a little bit to myself that the writers of this show, when they put this together, I have to kind of wonder, when they wrote that aspect of it, of this clamp, and I thought, I wonder if this, maybe I'm missing something. This is supposed to be an analogy for something, or maybe one of the writers have gone through something that they are writing in the form of this device in the head that causes you to do this and feels like that and has that kind of sensation. So obviously somebody on the writing team had to have been through something to convey it in that way. It felt very specific, and I wasn't sure if I was maybe missing something, but yeah.
You see, I don't know if you know this, Philip, but when I watch things and when I read things, I look into the psychological aspect of it.
Right.
And I go quite deep into it. It used to shock the DT family, but they're used to it now.
Right.
I actually got Dave to think about Star Trek First Contact in a very different way, because of my analogy and, well, my analysis. And this episode is basically how I see it is, it is about mental health. It is about lack of control. It is about other people trying to control things.
Yeah, definitely.
About other people inciting chaos, creating a situation that is dangerous, and not a good type of dangerous neither. But I also believe that people like myself with mental health issues will be able to understand that aspect of the message, but also those who have gone through substance abuse, the withdrawals from that, the cravings for it, like fire ants in the brain trying to control that impulse. And it is a very, very deep and dark psychological episode, this. And those of you who, and I'm saying this to everybody who watches, but if you didn't pick up on that, you need to watch it again.
Okay, this is the first time I've watched this episode since I began my sobriety journey 3.5 months ago, and I've definitely got to see it with a different light and kind of visualize some of the internal struggles that I've had to deal with, where like when Harry was about ready to just beat the snot out of Tom and saying he's just ready to say fuck it all, but then he stopped himself because he realized to himself, even though it wasn't like verbally stated, this is not the solution, this is not me, this is not the way to do it, there are other ways around it.
Yeah, and that is perfectly understandable that you Dave would, and congratulations on your 3.5 months, by the way. Very proud.
Actually, that's 110 days as of tomorrow. So yeah,
that's good. Yeah.
But it's not surprising that you resonate with this episode a lot more than you possibly did before, or maybe you didn't resonate with it before at all and now you do. But it doesn't surprise me that you're seeing it in a different light now. And I'm glad that you do. I'm glad that you can see that, and I'm glad I'm not the only one that looks into the deep dark psychological parts of every episode we go through. Because I do it with everything I watch. I do it. This is why I like Criminal Minds. That it's such an easy watch for me because they do my job for me. I'd be fantastic at the BAU, but I do it when I read. I do it when I watch a movie, watch TV. I do it with the people around me, and it's just who I am. I think I've watched too many mysteries in my life, to be quite honest, because it's almost like my brain won't shut up. It's like it won't allow me to just watch something. It's got to analyze. It's got to delve in deep. It's got to work things out. It's got to solve the mystery. But it helps to be able to do that, to be able to still watch and appreciate something or read and appreciate something, but still be able to understand it properly. I'm very thankful that I can do that.
Yeah. Speaking of reading, I finally picked this up from one of our previous
Oh yeah.
Oh, Joseph's book.
Yeah. It's Brooklyn's Curious Canal, so I'm hopefully going to find some time to read this in the near future because I got the Star Trek Picard novel Firewall by David McWar. Won 2 copies on 2 separate contests for that. One actually has a quote on my thing back there. I can't see right there. It's like, "Go your own way." When I opened up the book and that's what he wrote in it, I was like, holy crap.
I like that.
Yeah, so I got an autographed copy, which I'm not going to touch, but then I got another copy from another great Star Trek podcast that happens on Thursdays at 6:00 Pacific, Strange New Pod. I haven't had a chance to pop in on any of those lately because they're talking about Prodigy, which I still haven't gotten to see. But when Lower Deck starts coming along, they're going to be talking about that episode that very Thursday. So I got to watch it right away. But now I have AA meetings on Thursdays as well at the same time. So I'm like, crap, I'm not going to be able to participate live anymore. So on that, but
yeah,
there might be a point I don't have to go to those meetings, or at least don't have to go to every one of those meetings. But for my journey, I got the All Are Welcome on Tuesdays and Fridays. I got the men's meeting on Thursdays, and I got the CA meetings on Saturdays. So I'm going 4 times a week now.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
got back to week, can't you, love?
Yeah.
I say some people go 7 days a week, so I'm just like, yeah, I'm not that out of control anymore that need that much. But
no, that's good. But it's good that you go to these things and then like have your time as well. Work time, meeting time, your time. It's a good balance. I like things in threes. But no,
yeah, Phil, I mean, if you hadn't noticed before, saying, yeah, don't hesitate to sign up for the DT Discord. You can just go bit.ly.com/DT_fam, and you can. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure they'll get a blah, 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 blah. I am sure you will get a warm welcome. God, try to say that 10 times fast.
Or what Dave really means is that, yes, you may get a warm welcome, but you'll also get a very ditzy welcome, a stuttery welcome, and possibly a sneezy welcome from myself and Dave, who suffer really bad with allergies. You may get a strange welcome from one of Marla's cats, or 2 of them, because Oscar's teaching Atmos. We think they're trying to learn Welsh. But
every now and then one of the cats will get on the keyboard and just and then Marla will see it hours later say, what the heck?
There's all different sorts of welcomes you may get. So join just to see what welcome you get. But no, really do join us on Discord.
I try. Discord confuses the hell out of me. I don't know why. Every time I try to open that thing up, I'm completely lost how to maneuver my way through that app.
Oh, sweet. I don't know how to use anything.
Oh.
I mean, I even forget what things are called.
I've got Instagram. I've got even on TikTok a little bit. Is horrible as that place is, but I tried more just for to post my drawing and artwork is about the only reason I wanted to go on that. Otherwise, incredibly toxic app. But yeah, I generally kind of try to stay on Facebook, or I'm on Facebook a bit, and I like YouTube, right, for the most part. But Discord, I've had people try to bring me into Discord, and I'm just, it's like Snapchat's the same thing. Snapchat's just like, what am I doing? Yeah.
The only thing that I use Snapchat for is the funny filters that come
Oh,
up like
okay.
annually, and like
Yeah.
like during like this time of year, you get like a lot of like vampire filters and
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
so you know,
Halloween
I
fun,
keep
yeah.
Snapchat purely for that.
Mhm.
I don't actually use Snapchat. I have no notifications for it or anything. I just
Right.
use it for the funny filters.
With the camera filters. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, just to have a bit of fun every now and again.
Mm.
But no, I'm on most social media, but I very rarely scroll through it because I'm rather writing my book, writing my blog, or reading. At the minute, I'm
Yeah.
having a very well-deserved break, especially with all the stress going around at the minute, and I'm catching up on my reading, but I'm slightly addicted to a certain series at the moment. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll always
Yeah,
have time for track.
yeah, that
But no,
sounds
Discord,
busy.
I don't know how to use it. I just use it to play Putt Party, really.
Yeah.
I use it to basically type shit. And go in the talky thingies and play Putt Party. You know, that I don't know how to use it. I literally I only have Discord for dangerous thoughts.
Oh, okay.
That is the, you know, it's the only reason why I got it. You know, it's my like main point of like port of call for the DT family. I don't really do social media there. I actually sometimes wonder if social media is a thing in the future. Like at the time of Star Trek, if social media will fizzle out or if it'll like evolve. You know, I
That's a
do
good
sometimes
question.
wonder that.
Yeah. I opened up. I have Discord still on my phone actually, so I'll have to. I don't even know
It's
how
much
to add.
easier using it on your PC, in all
What's that?
honesty.
Oh, they have it for. Oh, I didn't even know they had it on the PC now. Yeah, definitely. If
Oh,
I have
yeah.
it on desktop, it's much easier than the phone.
Oh yeah, I've got Twitter. Yes, I know people call it X, but it's still Twitter and it's still twitter.com. So I will forever call it Twitter, people. I've got Twitter, I've got Discord, Messenger, Facebook, Instagram, and yeah, Twitter. All on my desktop. I very rarely use social media on my phone.
Mhm.
I very rarely use my phone anymore.
Yeah,
To be quite honest, I'm like down to like under 2
Mhm.
hours usage a day.
Not a little too much lately, but yeah.
But no, it's the thing. Discord especially is much easier on desktop.
Okay. No, if you can, I'm still preferable to desktop. I do use my phone for things, but yeah, if I can open it on desktop, I prefer doing that.
Yeah, I think you'd find it a little more easier to manage
Oh.
if you're not familiar with it on the
Exactly there.
desktop, and maybe
Yeah,
that'll get you to understand how the
You're all
mobile version
crackle with the
works.
voice and the fuzziness of the speech.
Yeah, now it's just so I've got Strange New Pod on Discord as well, and they're doing a watch along of season 5, episode 3 at the top of the hour. So I'm just like, I was just talking about your show with him. But talking about shows, it seems.
What was that strange new pod?
Oh, that's the they do
Oh, you got a delay.
episode reviews and whatnot of on Thursdays at
All right.
6 o'clock Pacific time.
I start work.
But and sometimes they'll rewatch old episodes, like they're doing a watch along for Discovery here in about half an hour.
There's something I'm subscribed to, and yet I very rarely watch their stuff, and I'm subscribed to them, but they're kind of funny. Two guys that are going, they went through like, I think they're still going through all of Next Generation. And there's two guys, youngish. One guy's kind of heavy set. The other guy's kind of more of a buff looking guy. And they do. I guess they have a Patreon that you can watch the full episode, but they put highlights on YouTube. I wish I could think of the name. They had something this
Trek
afternoon. What's that?
Trek Yards?
No, it wasn't even. I don't even think Star Trek was in the name because I think they intended to review lots of different things and lots of different movies. But let me see if I can bring it up here. But they ended up
But
just
no,
kind of concentrating on Star Trek episodes. They had a live this afternoon briefly. Let me see if I can find it. But they're
well,
kind of,
while you're
and it's the first time they're watching them. Like they've never watched Star Trek before, so it's like first time reaction to all of this stuff.
I know there's a couple of those like that, like newbie Star Trek. But they recently started doing Deep Space Nine.
Right.
But while we're talking about other shows, the Captain's Quadrant, which they also do episode reviews and whatnot on Fridays. And say I'm actually in communication with them to do some cross collaborating with them on episodes, and say we just got to find a time where we can do it, or at least more so me to do it, because again, AA meetings kind of get in the way of that.
Right.
So
target audience, that's what they're called.
Hmm.
Because I think they intended to do different reviews for different movies and whatnot, but ended up getting on kind of a Star Trek Next Generation thing. And they were really enjoying them, and they decided to go episode by episode through the whole thing. So,
what are you looking at, Katie?
No, I was just ignore me.
Okay.
Are we still talking about the episode?
Are there any other? Well, there's like two things that I noticed watching this again. Excuse me. Is that from the very beginning of the episode, where Tom and Harry don't have their comm badges, so no universal translator. How the heck do they know how all those aliens in there are speaking the
That's a
same
good
language?
point. Yeah.
Like,
Unless it's something built into the ship or something. I don't know.
that is a good point. There
the
could have been a
or the
oh,
clamp.
yeah,
Yeah.
the clamp could be the universal translator. That's true.
Mhm.
But yeah, someone else I read pointed out, say, how are they understanding each other? Because talking about Zio's manifesto, it's all written in who knows what alien language, and and he's handing it to Harry to read. So how the heck do you read this? I mean, unless the clamp translates it for you somehow.
I don't think it translates I don't think the universal translators, unless the alien one does, I don't know. But the the universal translators only translate speech.
Unless there's some Gallifreyan built into it.
I do believe that there could be a universal translator built into the clamp, especially with it going directly into the brain.
Right. Yeah.
It does make a lot of sense, because I questioned that initially, but then I sat back and thought about it, and yeah, I do believe that there's one in the clamp.
But the second thing I noticed, that at the end of the episode, when Neelix flew his ship to the Akaterian base, saying, did Janeway and everybody climb back up the chute? Because I mean, there's Janeway, there's Tuvok, Tom was hurt, then there's Harry, and then who knows? There's at least 2 or 3 security personnel that end up going down the chute down there. How did they get up the chute so quickly? Because Neelix doesn't have a transporter, from what I know, on the ship after he got to the Voyager, because he's never heard of beaming technology until he ran into them.
No, see, this is the thing about time. Yeah, I question this, and I do believe that things happened in a little bit longer length of time than what we saw. Because there was Tom and Harry had to get up the chute. Tom was injured, as you said. And then there was Janeway, Tuvok, and 3 security personnel. So there was I thought there was only 2, but for some reason I think there was 3.
I saw least 2. I thought there might have been 3, but I mean,
Yeah. What was the reason
sorry.
for not being able to beam? I forget why they couldn't.
Yeah, they couldn't transport because they were on Neelix's ship. So the only way that they could get in and out was the chute, unless they took like a portable transporter,
Okay.
or something. I don't know, but I think that things just happened not as quickly as what we saw them. That's the only possible explanation, especially with Tom being injured. Because they would have had to have been very, very careful not to stretch him out, getting him up that. So he would need to have been like pulled and pushed very slowly, like at the same rate, so that
Unless they
Tom was
produced
just
a
like
stretcher.
for a game of cards and just shot up himself. He might have found that last leg of life. Yeah. But yeah, it was longer than what we saw. That's what I believe anyway. Time is a very strange thing in TV.
And then, of course, Neelix being Neelix, he ingratiated himself in sickbay, just saying how clever he was with his piloting skills, and it's like,
oh yeah, So sometimes I really want to slap the fare off Neelix's face. I really do. I because it's like I really want to slap the fare off his face sometimes because he's just.
It's frustrating because I sort of like the character and I like the actor, but the writing for him just kind of makes him a bit awkward, and I just it's so frustrating. But I remember that actor from Benson. Actually, it was really from Benson when I used to watch that. But I'm not sure if you're familiar with Benson at all, Katie. But
no.
But there's a few actors who are on it that are on. That are throughout Star Trek, but it was a comedy, a half-hour comedy that ran for years. That was Benson was somebody who worked. He was a black servant, I guess, that worked for the governor, and it was how he kind of progressed through the course of the series. But the guy that played Neelix was in it. The guy that played Odo, Rene Auberjonois, had a hilarious character on that show because he was always at odds with Benson, and they always had these verbal fights going on, these verbal insults that were absolutely hysterical. It was a really well-written show, and it ran for something like 8 years, but it was a really, really good show.
7 seasons.
Yeah.
I pulled it up.
Okay, I thought it was 8 for something. Okay, but yeah, it was, and there was like the German cook that also she'd give everybody shit. It was a really, really good show. I remember we watched it all the way through, but Rene Auberjonois and he's such a different character than Odo.
I am so sorry. I've had a very long day.
Oh, that's okay.
And it's like 2:35 a.m. as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
I've never heard of that show, to be honest.
Yeah, it was 1979 to 1986, so it was well before you were born.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it ended the year before I was born.
Yeah.
So.
It was a good show, though. It was a really good series.
I don't remember watching it religiously, but I do remember watching a lot of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We kind of. That was a thing. For some reason, my dad really liked it. Actually, my mom did too. We got it to be a regular thing that we'd all sit down and watch it. So I think that's why.
The one show that I sat down and watched a lot growing up with my mom was MacGyver.
Oh yeah, it was one of those shows that I wanted to see, but for some reason never. It was always on when I couldn't see it, and just never got into. I know it was a good show though. I heard it was really good, but just never.
It was.
It wasn't like I purposely avoided it or didn't like it. It just didn't. One of those shows that just didn't happen for some reason for me. But yeah, I know a lot of people really liked it.
Yeah, the reboot wasn't half bad. I mean,
no, I never liked MacGyver.
Mm-hmm.
I like growing up. I watched a lot of stuff from like the 60s and the 70s.
Oh yeah.
I watched. I don't know if you'd have seen it over there. But All Creatures Great and Small.
Very.
Uh,
I think we did see some of it. Yeah.
James Herriot. He's like the main character in it. There's books. They're kind of like based on true stories. He was a vet.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, like All Creatures Great and Small. I kind of like grew up watching reruns of that. Are You Being Served? Some others do have them. What else? The Darling Buds of May. You know, that was Catherine Jones's debut.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I grew up on a lot of British television. My parents were very. My grandparents all came from England. We have a heavy British background. So it's very, very influential in my family. We watched a lot. So
see, I watched a lot of like murder mysteries. I mean, I grew up watching Poirot, Murder She Wrote, Inspector Morse, A Touch of Frost, Bergerac, Midsummer Murders.
Oh yes, yeah.
I love
BritBox right now.
But I kind of fell out of love with Midsummer Murders when John Nettles left. It just wasn't the same. But yeah, they're the kind of things I grew up with. And I mean, I grew up with like Sherlock Holmes and you know, a lot of comedy things. Yeah. But at the same time, I grew up with like Marvel cartoons, like the X-Men.
Oh yeah.
And like people tried getting me into Star Trek, and I'm just like, no, I can't stand it. I can't stand him. And it wasn't until I was like 13 that I started liking it, and it was all because of First Contact.
Yeah.
And I always found it quite ironic because my birthday is First Contact Day.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. Interesting. And so I found it quite ironic that it was that movie that got me loving Trek.
Okay.
So, but yeah, like all of my like friends, like my female friends growing up from being like knee-high to a grasshopper to now, they've all been like,
excuse me,
you're into Star Trek, you're into Marvel, you're a proper geek, and you don't like girly things. And I'm like, nah. Yeah, and for the Star Wars community, cool. I could have said that extremely British, but I didn't. But you know, it
would have been appreciated.
But no, that they could never understand it. But it really did the Reds in, because I was always like more for hanging out with the lads than the lasses, and that especially when I started getting into Star Trek, they were just like, there is something wrong with you. It's like, no, there is something right with me. And yet they like Star Wars, and I'm just like, what?
1.5 dozen of the other, yeah.
Because I only like the original ones, the original Star Wars movies. I don't like any of the new crap, you know.
Well, 1, 2, and 3 were too horribly bad, but I haven't seen 7, 8, 9 yet to this day because I'm just like, eh.
I think I stopped on like 7, or was it 8? I can't remember. All I remember from that episode is that it was like from that movie is that it was badly written. It was very contrived.
Yeah.
It was just bleh. And at the end there was a very elderly, well, I say elderly, sorry, but you know, like compared to what I'm used to seeing him as, there was a very elderly Luke Skywalker stood on the top of a mountain, and I don't know if that was The Last Jedi or something like that. But I I haven't even bothered watching The Mandalorian, and I love Goku. You know,
Baby Yoda.
Yes.
Grogu. Oh, right.
You know, yeah, Grogu, but I love everyone. But you know, I won't watch them. I mean, I'm going to a convention next year. This is one that was cancelled and rearranged, and apparently there's going to be a lot of like guests to do with that, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I hope that they're wrong about it, and that they just do stick to DC and Marvel. But I can't get along with Star Wars. It's always been Trek for me, even though I hated Trek growing up. For the first 13 years of my life, Star Trek was just like sinful. Yeah, it was shit, basically. But this is why we don't talk about TOS in my presence.
All right.
But you know, it
started.
And I'll just like roll my eyes a lot and like face palm and be like really bitch about it. So we just don't talk about it really. But this you see, everything what I've just said, this episode represents for me because this is one of those episodes. It's not one of my favorite episodes. It isn't by any standards. Like, you know, it really isn't. But it's a very important episode.
Yeah, it's a very important episode because that solidifies the friendship that Tom and Harry have and carry on for the next 4 seasons after that.
Oh yeah, and there's parts of it. Now, this episode for me, it's like Marmite. You love it or you hate it. There's no in between. And for me, there are two very different sides to this episode.
Mm-hmm.
There is a side that I absolutely hate, and that is things are just a little too convenient in some ways. Like how they're rescued and this, that, and the it's all too convenient. The fact that all of a sudden Harry grows a pair. You know,
loses and grows them again.
Well, yeah, you know, but then there's the other side of the episode that is very deep and meaningful, and it resonates with me for so many reasons. But also, as you said, Dave, it solidifies their friendship, and it brings their relationship to another level. That they've basically become brothers. You know, they are no longer just friends. They truly are family. Even though by this point, you know, the crew was like family to each other. That was even more so with those two after that. And the deeper message for the episode as well. So there's two very different sides to the episode. There's the technical side of it for the writing and the story progression, but then there's the other side of it, which is the meaningful side, and that's the side I like to focus on, because that is the most important bit, is the meaning behind the episode. And it's not an episode that I like to watch. It's not an episode that I hate to watch. But when I watch it, I have that divide within me. You know, I'm just like, yeah, there's this could have been done better, that could have been done better. It's just me being a bitch, really. But then there's the other side of me that's like, holy shit, this is deep. And you know what? I actually teared up watching this, because I forgot just how deep this episode is, and with how much it resonates with me. And don't get me wrong, I didn't bawl like a baby like I do at some of the episodes, but it did hit me in the feels, like, quite hard. And if you just look at it on the surface, it doesn't seem to be that kind of episode. But if you look into it deeper, it really is.
I think that's a thank you, Katie. I think that's a good way of ending this episode. Unless you had some
Oh.
closing thoughts, Phil.
I did got a couple of things down. I wondered if I could just share a few
Oh,
thoughts before we
go right ahead.
Just observations at all, just as kind of watching it, because I didn't actually get to see it until this afternoon. I had a hard time obtaining this one because I don't have Paramount Plus, so it was a little bit trickier to go back and get some of these episodes without. Yeah, so it's been a bit. It took me a while to kind of finally get it and get a hold of it and watch it. So, but I didn't watch it until I thought, oh, I got to get through this because this is coming up. And so I finally actually watched it just a few hours ago. So I finally got through it. Couple of things, again, just observations. Like from a technical aspect, one of the first things I noticed was that I think this was done in 95. I think this was produced. And it was a little bit after Deep Space Nine, so I noticed there is a little bit of jump in quality, but also I did notice there's also maybe it's because it's a very short episode, areas where it was kind of a little bit budgeted also at the same time. But there's something to do with the lighting and the sets that were a little bit. You could see they were starting to get maybe a little bit more money. They were able to put a little bit more into tighter editing and angles and cuts and camera angles and that kind of thing. So I noticed that there was just on that aspect of it, there was a little bit of jump in quality. But then at the end, I noticed it kind of wrapped things up without showing a lot either. They just kind of explained a lot of things. The only thing we really saw on Neelix's ship was him at that one panel, and there wasn't much else that you kind of really saw much else there. But also, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning, I wondered at the beginning if I was missing something. I thought maybe there was a previous story that led into this, because I really thought as I'm watching this, I thought there's a lot going on here, and they're saying a lot. There's a lot happening, and I feel like it's really been condensed. I feel like this could almost be a two-parter in a way. Like it's and maybe I'm used to episodes now being TV shows being very not episodic, the opposite, but they would take several, you've seen like an entire season to cover one thing, right? So, but this is back in the day where things were very episodic. So I thought there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot that could have even expanded on, even if to wrap up this episode, such as what you were talking about with Harry Kim. Because my thought at the end, after it happened, and you watch them after in the doctor's office after they take the thing out, and I thought my first thought was Harry Kim seems to really been shell shocked by this. Like there's a bit of PTSD, and I thought this is something that might maybe continue to resonate. But they kind of went out into the hallway and had a little chat about food or something, and he's like, "Oh, okay, you're right," and they walk off. I thought, well, that was kind of,
yeah, because like Harry was just like flabbergasted at how nonchalant Tom was about this, and he's just like, "Hey, let's go get that food." And it's like, dude, I tried to kill you. It's like,
yeah.
no,
The one thing I remember is hearing you say, "This is my best friend. I have his back. No one's going to touch it."
Lost your mic.
But I get
What?
that.
Was it my mic, Phil, that you lost, or?
There we go. It got really muffled for a second, like you had a pillow over your microphone for a moment.
Oh, see, I did kind of did that again. But...
No, I just want to respond to Philly on the way Harry was. I completely understand that. And now I will tell you a very brief, very shortened, with not too much detail story.
Okay, I do want to go back to something after when you're done, though. But just but okay.
Now, Harry was traumatized, possible PTSD or PTSS now. It's called now.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he tried to kill Tom. And then all of a sudden they talk about food and it's like, oh, go on then. Yeah, what we having for dessert? I've been in a similar situation because of my mental health. And something happened with one of my friends who was on their own with me. And my mental health went a little bit cuckoo. And we were completely fine after. Because when I came out of it, I didn't know what had happened. And, you know, I knew something bad had happened. And I was really traumatized by it. But she understood that it wasn't in my control. And everything worked out. And we just kind of like started talking about, like, I think it was like Friends or something, the TV show. So I kind of understand that. You push it aside with understanding. You're able to, even if it's only briefly in a short moment, it is possible to push that aside and carry on as if things are normal, and then later on have your breakdown.
Right.
So I do understand the way Harry was.
Voyager is one of those series that I kind of saw sporadically. I didn't kind of see it. I never watched it in order. I'd started to, I think, the first 2 seasons, and then we lost cable for a while and I stopped watching it. And it wasn't until later that I started picking up on all these episodes here and there. And so I missed quite, and I still haven't seen the whole series. But I wanted, I know it's something one day I will kind of have to go back and fill in the gaps, but it was one of those that I thought would have been an interesting, as I watched the end of this, and I thought, I don't know if this was maybe one of those things that could have, I don't know, been a good character arc for him, or could have been something that, as the series goes on, something that could have just affected him. Yeah. That, you know, that would always come back and haunt him a little bit, kind of like the cards thing with the board. Right, it never kind of went away. It always haunted him. That and similarly, it could have been something just to his character, to add to his character. I had a good friend of mine who actually doesn't talk to me anymore, but he was a big Star Trek fan. But he never liked that character, and it kind of rubbed off on me for a while. I kind of went along with it, but later I know I kind of disagree with it now. But he did not like. He didn't like the actor, and he didn't like the character, and he hated it. And he always said that character should have never been on the show. He hated that.
I don't like Garrett Wang, who plays Harry Kim. I can't stand him. I'll stop myself there. But I don't like him. And Harry Kim, the character, right. He does my head in as well, but I still feel for him, and there are parts that I really do like. I have no guilty pleasures because I don't believe in them, but if I did, liking him would be one of my guilty pleasures kind of thing. But
there was a rumor for years that apparently when he got accepted for the role, he made some comment that he was really excited about being the first Asian in Star Trek. And then I think George Takei called him to congratulate.
Yeah, I remember hearing that story too.
I don't know how much truth there is behind it, but it made me laugh when I heard that. But
to be quite honest, it is probably true.
Yeah,
I can see it being true because
I could see George Takei doing that too. But
definitely. But
let's say, and hearing from Manu some things with
yeah.
Oh no! Even before I met Manu, we became friends and that, and I heard stories, and I'd already seen for myself how self-righteous and stuck up and judgmental Garrett Wang is, and it is, he's so up himself. He's on the same level in a sense with me as William Shatner, but for very different
Right.
reasons.
Different reasons, right?
Yeah, similar reasons, but very different reasons at the same time. But he's in that category of hell no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't even watch their podcast because of him.
Oh, is that right? Oh.
No.
Yeah.
But it, yeah.
There was one other thing too. Was a couple of things, but one other thing too that I thought about in this episode is that the one character came into, what was his name? The one that had learned to control it, and he was kind of
Zio.
Zio. I found him kind of interesting. I thought maybe something might have happened at the end where they might have helped him escape, or maybe he might have been a repeated character later on or something. I don't know if he ever was, but that seemed to kind of do more with him because the actor was really good. The character was kind of interesting because you didn't know much about, you didn't know whether or not to trust him or not. But he just kind of was like, that was it. He got left behind, and that was the end of him. I felt like it was like they started to establish something, and there was more they could have done with that character. Again, if this was like a longer episode, if it was a two-parter, I feel like there's a lot more they could have. I almost got the impression when they wrote the episode, it was more like they wanted to do with him, but just ran out of time or whatnot. But yeah, there was. I found him kind of an interesting character, and I would have liked to have seen a little more from that character. But.
I felt like that about a few of the characters that have just like popped up in certain episodes that are like very interesting and sometimes strange and weird. And it's a shame that some of them don't get seen again. But no, I do agree with you. He's very interesting, and I would have liked to have got to know him better.
Yeah, I thought there was. I said I felt like there was almost like there should have been more with that character, and they just ran out of time. It was just.
Yeah.
I often wondered, if he ever popped up maybe again in a later episode? Did he ever escape? Would he ever? Whatever happened to him? And I thought, oh.
No, that would have been really good if, like, a couple of years down the line, that character had come back and he'd, like, managed to get out because somebody else had sent in a rescue team and he went in search of Harry. You know, that'd have been really good. Like, and asked for Harry's help and kind of see that side of Harry again. Right. I always wanted that to happen, but it never did.
Yeah. But I think that was it. I think that was all I had I jotted down on it. It was good. It was good to kind of see this. I feel like I had, because it's been so many years. It was like 90, so it was like 95. I think that episode, and I think I saw it at some point, and it's just long since forgotten. So it's been good watching these just to kind of catch up on some of these episodes again.
Oh, I love watching retro episodes. There's the odd episode I'm not keen on. I'm not keen on some of the DS9 episodes, but it is nice to go back and just singularly watch them sometimes.
Sure,
And I certainly don't mind doing it for the show, but we go back and we watch some things that I've not seen for years. And I'm like, hold on a minute, how could I have not seen this for years? Because I only did a rewatch of Voyager like last year. But because I don't remember anything from it, it feels like years ago since I've seen it.
Sure,
Don't get me wrong. DS9, I only really, and I'm sorry to DS9 lovers out there, Dave included. I don't know your stance on it, Philip. But I only watch DS9 from my comfort episodes now. I don't do rewatches.
Yeah.
Full rewatch. I will just watch my comfort episodes, which is probably about maybe a dozen episodes in total out of the whole 7 seasons. And a lot of those are from like the first 3 or 4 seasons because after that it's just
Right. Yeah.
okay. But when it comes to Voyager, it's very rare that I skip an episode.
Just to give a quick where I come from on Star Trek, because when I was really little, obviously the only thing that was on was the original series, and I think the first one I saw was the Gorn episode, the Kirk fighting the Gorn. Now I was big into like monster movies and that kind of thing, so when I saw this show of this person fighting this monster guy in a suit, I was kind of I wanted to see more, of course. But I also got, as a kid, I didn't really understand the depth of these shows, what they were trying to say, but it was cool just to watch this crew working in space, and I thought that was just kind of fun to me. Although I knew some of them were really weird, and I thought some of them were they're going off into off to the galaxies and different planets, and yet they keep running into like Earth-like situations that I thought was very strange. But when Next Generation started, at first I didn't like it. And although I would watch it, but even though I would bitch about it all the time, the first couple of seasons, then it started to really grow on me. And I love Next Generation. It turned out that I ended up really enjoying it after. Voyager, Deep Space Nine and Voyager, I liked, but it was such a sporadic time for me that I would always end up. We didn't always have cable. I couldn't always watch it. I couldn't. Just a lot was going on. It was a very weird time in my life that one time I'll tell you another time, but it was a very strange part of my life during that time. So it was, and thankfully that's done with. But I kind of never ended up going back to seeing what I had missed or what episodes I missed. But I did catch periodic episodes. I know watching like the first 2 seasons for both for sure. But and I never got into Enterprise. We tried to watch Enterprise with a friend of mine, and oh, do you? Oh, couldn't it?
I didn't. I never liked it.
Yeah.
I tried getting into it years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I hated it.
I did too. At the time.
I didn't like it, and it was like, no, he's Sam.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's from Quantum Leap. He don't belong on a starship. You know, but I got given official homework by the DT family to watch Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Enterprise.
Right.
First season of Discovery, it took me about 3 months to get through. It's tedious. I hated it. But
I don't like it. It's not
once
Star
season
Trek
2 starts, holy crap, it's brilliant.
Maybe I'll have to go back and try it again one day, but I just, at the time, I ended up giving up on it and never went back. I hated the intro.
If you can persevere, like I did, if you can persevere and get through season 1, as soon as season 2 hits, because you do need season 1 for context,
right?
But once season 2 hits, it is absolutely amazing. And season 2 is basically the prequel to Strange New Worlds.
Oh, all right, okay.
That is the introduction to
I like Strange New Worlds. I'm really enjoying that, by the way.
Yes, well, if you like Strange New Worlds, you will definitely like season 2 of Discovery.
Okay.
Because that's basically an introduction to it.
Discovery or?
Pardon?
Oh, Discovery?
Yeah, season 2 of Star Trek Discovery.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I was thinking I had Enterprise in my head because I didn't like Enterprise, but yeah.
Yeah, but no, season 2 of Discovery, Pike was in command of the Discovery, so.
And Spock's in it as well. But
yeah, seems like I remember something. Maybe I did see some of that.
Enterprise, I hated. I couldn't get into it. I tried over the course of like a few years, but I really started watching it like with an unbiased and very detached like view as a single new entity rather than comparing it.
Yeah.
Kind of the same as I do when books turned into movies. I see the movie and the book as separate entities, you know, and I appreciate them for what they both are, and I don't compare. This is what I've had to do with a lot of Trek, and a lot of things, you know, that I like. But once I got into Enterprise, I absolutely adored it, and I don't give a shit what people say. That song is absolutely fucking beautiful.
Oh, is it?
I love that song. And you know, if you look at the meaning behind that song, it does suit Trek.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
By going for for a
I just want another Jerry Goldsmith score, and I was disappointed it wasn't.
I was glad it wasn't because it was
love Jerry
refreshing.
Goldsmith.
It was refreshing. As much as
Yeah.
I love the intros, you know, it was refreshing to have something different, and I appreciate that. But I grew to love Enterprise. And I mean, now one of like my top 10 characters in Trek is a dog because of Enterprise. You know, Porthos is just
good old
absolutely beautiful.
Porthos.
He's a dog
Wise
after my own
Beagle.
heart. He adores cheese. Cheese is life.
Yeah.
So you know, I fell in love with Porthos straight away. And he's in quite a lot of episodes as well. And you know,
The center of a few episodes too.
Pardon?
He was the center of a couple episodes too.
Yes, he was. Night in Sickbay being one of them. But you know, I really did fall in love with Enterprise. And if people were to give it a go and give it a proper go, more people tend to like it than dislike it. Still may not be their favorite, but the only issue that I've got with it is the final episode. That is the only issue I've got with it because it's an insult to the show. Basically, it's an.
Wasn't it the whole show ended up being a holodeck thing on the Enterprise?
Yeah.
I understand where they're coming from, but at the end of the day, you know, they were all right. Yeah, they were going through the holodeck. They were reliving their history. But that's not how it came across to a lot of the audience. And it was an insult to the entire series. That one episode destroyed Enterprise. And that's why a lot of people don't like it, because of that final episode. And it colours their judgment of the rest of it. And a lot of people find out about that episode and like, oh, well, it's not real. It's all a holodeck simulation. No, it isn't. That final episode is, even though it is a major insult to the entire show, it's not, that episode is not, the meaning behind that episode is not that, and it was all a dream and they all woke up.
I think they were just observing or something. Yeah.
Riker and Deanna are reliving history.
Right.
You know, like via the holodeck. And not a lot of people understand that. And it is a horrible episode. It is. But I think that clouds a lot of people's judgments. I think if you was to give Enterprise a really good go, you would at the very least fall in love with Porthos.
I've seen a few episodes. I know I've seen a few, and I liked the engineer.
He's my favorite character. Trip is my favorite character.
I liked him. And but didn't they kill him in the last episode? And I remember getting kind of pissed about that. I'm like, nope, not counting that.
Yeah, they always Star Trek seemed to kill off my favorite characters.
Oh,
Trip, Jadzia,
that was
Icheb. Who else have they killed off? Data. He came back to life.
Well, he's really back alive again, but the end of that movie. The end of that movie. Anyways, that's another thing. Things that don't count in canon in my head, whether it is or isn't.
Star Trek seemed to kill off my favorite characters, and I don't. That is the only thing I don't like about Star Trek. I fall in love with the character.
I liked Yar.
Well, I liked Tasha. I did, but she wasn't one of my favorites. But like Trip, he was like, him and Porthos were like my two favorites. And you know, I adore Trip. He is so adorable, and he's a bit of a lad, but he's also a gentleman as well. And it's very rare. That's a very rare combination, but it worked for him. And so like he was my favorite. He got killed off. Jadzia, right from the pilot of DS9, was like my favorite of the bunch. She gets killed off. And, you know, Icheb became one of my favorite characters on Voyager. And he ended up getting...
Sorry, I cannot stop yawning at this point.
Sorry.
But, you know...
No, I've been up 16 hours.
Oh, okay.
Oh, darling. I would love to have only been up for 16 hours. I've been up for about 80, maybe 90 hours.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I've been up
poor
for about
Katie.
4
She
or 5
deals with
days.
some nasty insomnia issues.
yeah. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah,
I used to. I
insomnia is
can't.
a bitch.
My system will just collapse. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
By
I
the way,
can
I'm
see
surprised there
all
isn't
the
more.
dark circles under my eyes that even through concealer. I'm only wearing a bit of makeup because I've been to an event, but you can see the dark circles under my eyes even through my concealer and color corrector. You know, that's how much sleep I've had. I mean, I've not had a wink of sleep all week. So
What were you saying, Phil?
Oh, just I was surprised there wasn't more. There's more involvement in the chat. Normally we get.
Yeah, it's been
between
notably
here
quiet.
and
I'm
Toronto.
thinking that 3 week break kind of
Right.
killed some things, but
But even last week, we had last couple of weeks. What's her name from Toronto? She always says hi.
Mala, yeah,
Mala,
she's
yeah, that's
absent
right
tonight.
there,
yeah, she's just
Hey,
started back.
Zach, he was active very early on, but
No, she's just started back at work, so she's gonna have she's acclimating, I think,
Okay.
to getting back to a work schedule. So she'll be knackered.
yeah, but talking about like other episodes, say next week we're gonna go back in time. We're gonna do elementary Dear Data.
Okay.
So Jordy and Data friendship kind of really like comes to a head in this episode where Jordy kind of tells the computer, create someone that can defeat Data. And of course, holodeck episode, everything goes sideways.
Yes,
But
I do
since we're
remember that one.
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
first
but
episode of Moriarty,
I
isn't
came
it?
up with it. What's that?
That's the first episode of Moriarty, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Is
And
it the
that's
first
before
one?
when they made that episode, they didn't realize that they kind of stepped on the toes of uh, Conan Doyle's estate. So that's why we didn't get the next Moriarty episode until like late in the 6th season, because then
Oh,
Sherlock Holmes is public domain. So, but
right.
they still had to get like written permission, say, hey, we want to like continue the story and end it. So they kind of learned from their mistakes on that front. But the
Is it
week after that, since we've been talking about it and talking
the-
about him, Shuttle Pod 1 from Enterprise, first season, episode 16, when Trip and Reed
Okay.
gets stranded in the shuttle, thinking that the Enterprise was destroyed.
Okay.
I love that episode.
And I just figured, say, we need to do another series, and I just Shuttle Pod 1,
Yeah.
perfect.
Have I seen that one?
Yeah.
Again next week, and
Yes,
I'll get that one. But yeah, I think
Well,
it's a little easier to get.
yeah, well, you got 2 weeks to watch that one.
Yeah.
Like next week, we already got lined up for
Get through.
Elementary Dear Data.
I really do love that episode. That is one of my favorite episodes of
Okay.
Enterprise. And yeah.
Yeah, saying that, I mean, coming close to death, I mean, that really bonds two individuals, and then that really did it for Reed and Tucker. Dang it.
Right.
And honestly, after that, they act like a married couple who hate each other but love each other so much.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of did anyway, but they were more just sniping at each other. But after
Like
this
a married
episode,
couple.
they really they did bond, and it did come to a point where they were like a married couple that had been married far too long, who bickered but loved each other dearly. You know, it's their relationship is so funny.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years since I watched that episode. Well, same with Elementary Dear Data, so the next 2 weeks should be interesting.
I haven't seen Elementary Dear Data for years.
Right, yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that, so I'll definitely. It seems to be a little easier to still get next generation episodes if I need to watch them, as opposed to like Deep Space Nine or Voyager. They're a little harder to get for some reason, but TNG
Yeah,
Don't
is
you have
easy
it on
to get.
Netflix?
So yeah, I don't have Netflix.
Oh.
I have to use other methods. Yeah.
But yeah,
But the
we've
only
been
way
at
I
it
got like this one, the only way I could get it was the entire season. So if we ever go back to well, the last Deep Space Nine or Voyager episodes, if there's any more episodes out of those seasons, I've kind of put them on my backup drive. So if there's any more episodes, I've already got that entire season because I had to get the whole season in order to see that episode.
Oh, geez.
So yeah, but I've got them there, so they're there, kind of tucked away. So
Woohoo.
yeah.
Well, I'll definitely be mindful of that, seeing what's going on, since the early seasons are typically when
Hmm.
character development hits the hardest. So,
Okay.
but for the here and now, I think we're going to call it good.
Mm-hmm.
Saying if you want to stay for a few minutes after for the after
Okay.
show, you're
Yeah.
welcome to do so. But until next week, hailing frequencies are now closed.
Toodles.